In the early 1940s, the quiet coastal town of Pascagoula, Mississippi, became the center of one of the strangest and most unsettling mysteries in American history. People still talk about it today because it is so unusual. A person sneaking into homes at night, not to steal money or hurt anyone, but to cut people's hair while they slept. Newspapers soon began calling this unknown visitor the Phantom Barber. The story of the Phantom Barber is both eerie and puzzling, and it shows how fear can spread through a community when something unexplainable happens. To understand the story, it helps to picture Pascagoula in the early 1940s. The United States had recently entered World War II, and the town's shipbuilding industry was booming. Thousands of new workers and military personnel moved into the area almost overnight. The sudden population growth made the town feel crowded, noisy, and tense. People were worried about spies, sabotage, and strange behavior because wartime rumors were everywhere. In that atmosphere, any unusual event could cause great fear, and the Phantom Barber case fed directly into those worries. The first reports of the Phantom Barber came in June 1942. A group of young girls living at a convent school said that someone had slipped into their room at night. The girls woke up to find their hair cut. No one saw the intruder, but the evidence was undeniable. Pieces of hair scattered on the floor and shortened sections missing from their own heads. The idea that a stranger had entered the room without waking anyone was frightening. The convent had locked doors, and the windows were usually kept closed. How had someone gotten in? The story spread quickly through town. Just a week later, another girl reported a similar break-in. She had also been asleep when someone quietly entered her bedroom and cut part of her hair. She did not wake up during the crime, but when she did wake in the morning, she was shocked to discover her hair shorter than before, and strands lying near her bed. Because this second incident happened soon after the first, people believed it must be the work of the same person. The mystery deepened, and gossip raced across Pascagoula. The police took the reports seriously, especially because the victims were young girls. Officers searched the areas around the affected houses, looking for footprints, broken windows, or any sign of how the intruder had entered. But there was not much evidence. People began locking their doors more carefully at night and checking their windows before bed. Parents warned their children to stay indoors after dark. The town, which had been busy but peaceful a few months earlier, now had an edge of fear to it. Then the situation became more alarming. A married couple, Mr. and Mrs. Heil, reported that an intruder had attacked them inside their home at night. According to their account, a man slipped into their bedroom. This time, unlike the previous incidents, there was a physical struggle. The intruder supposedly knocked Mr. Heil unconscious and then hit Mrs. Heil, causing injuries. The attacker fled before the police arrived. This event was much more violent than the earlier incidents, and it caused widespread panic. Many people began to believe that the Phantom Barber had escalated from cutting hair to hurting people. However, even today, it is unclear whether the attack on the Heils was truly connected to the hair-cutting break-ins. Some researchers think it may have been a separate incident, possibly a robbery attempt or a personal conflict unrelated to the Phantom Barber. But at the time, the distinction didn't matter to the frightened community. Newspapers blended the events together, making the mysterious intruder seem even more dangerous than before. By now, the whole town was on edge. The local newspaper ran dramatic headlines about the Phantom Barber. Cartoon sketches of a spooky, shadowy figure appeared in print. Many articles made the situation sound scarier than it might actually have been. But during wartime, fear spreads easily, and people were ready to believe almost anything. Even though no one had been seriously harmed before the attack on the Heils, the idea of a stranger entering homes so easily was terrifying. The community wanted answers. In response to public pressure, the police increased patrols, set up checkpoints, and questioned anyone who seemed suspicious. Officers encouraged people to report anything unusual, no matter how small. Neighborhood watch groups began forming, with residents staying awake late into the night to look for the mysterious barber. Rumors spread that the intruder was using secret tunnels or special skills to sneak around unnoticed. None of those theories were proven, but they added to the atmosphere of fear. One unusual detail made the case even stranger. In almost all the reported break-ins, the intruder took only hair. Valuable items were left untouched. There were no signs of serious damage or theft. Often, the intruder did not even wake the sleeping victims. This behavior confused everyone. Why would someone risk breaking into a house just to cut hair? What would they do with the hair afterward? Was it a prank? A mental illness? Something connected to superstitions or rituals? People came up with many explanations, but none of them were supported by evidence. Eventually, the police arrested a man named William Dolan, a local chemical plant worker and political critic. The authorities claimed to have found evidence linking him to the attack on the Hiles, not necessarily the haircutting incidents. Dolan insisted he was innocent. Some townspeople believed him because the evidence against him was weak. For example, the police said they found a strand of hair in his home, but having hair at home is not unusual and did not prove anything. Even more suspicious was the fact that Dolan had a history of disagreements with influential people in town. Some locals believed he was arrested because the police needed to reassure the public, not because he was actually guilty. Despite these doubts, Dolan was convicted of assaulting the Hiles, though he was never charged with the hair-cutting crimes themselves. After his imprisonment, the Phantom Barber incidents slowed down but did not entirely stop. This made many residents question whether Dolan was truly the culprit. Because the evidence was so thin, historians today generally believe that Dolan was almost certainly not the Phantom Barber. Some think he may have been an easy target, arrested more to calm the frightened community than because he did anything wrong. Others think the break-ins may have been committed by more than one person or by someone who stopped on their own for unknown reasons. Since the case was never solved, the truth remains hidden. The Phantom Barber of Pascagoula became famous partly because it is so bizarre. Crimes involving hair are rare and unusual, and the idea of someone cutting hair from people as they sleep is both creepy and oddly non-violent. It raises many questions. Was the intruder doing it for emotional reasons? Did they collect the hair for personal purposes? Were they simply enjoying the thrill of sneaking in without being caught? Or was it something else entirely? Without knowing who the Phantom Barber was, we can only guess. Another reason the story is famous is because it illustrates how fear can change a community. In wartime, people were already worried about spies, sabotage, and unexpected danger. When the break-ins happened, many residents became convinced that the Phantom Barber was a foreign spy or enemy agent. There is no evidence to support that idea, but anxiety can make people imagine extreme explanations. The case shows how public fear and media attention can turn a small mystery into a major panic. After the summer of 1942, the number of reported Phantom Barber incidents slowly decreased. By the end of the year, no new cases were being widely discussed. Newspapers moved on to other wartime topics, and the public gradually stopped talking about the Phantom Barber as much. The fear faded, but the mystery remained. Because the intruder was never definitively identified, the case became part of local folklore. Over the decades, it has been retold in books, documentaries, and articles about strange crimes. Today, the Phantom Barber story is often mentioned alongside other unsolved mysteries from the early 20th century. What makes it different from many other crimes is that the intruder did not seem to be motivated by money, revenge, or typical criminal goals. Instead, the behavior was unusual and difficult to understand. The lack of clear answers makes the case memorable. People are naturally drawn to mysteries, especially ones that involve unexplained behavior. Modern researchers have proposed several theories. One idea is that the intruder may have been someone with a psychological condition that caused them to focus on hair. Another theory is that the incidents were exaggerated or partly imagined, fueled by panic and newspaper storytelling. Some historians believe multiple people may have been involved, perhaps pranksters or copycats acting after the first report. Another possibility is that the Phantom Barber was someone who simply moved away from town or passed away, never revealing their secret. No matter which explanation is correct, the case remains unsolved. The police records and newspaper articles from that time offer details, but none provide a complete answer. Because so much time has passed, it is unlikely that the true identity of the Phantom Barber will ever be discovered. The people involved have long since grown old or passed away, and many documents from that period are incomplete or missing. Despite that, the Phantom Barber continues to be a legendary figure in Mississippi folklore. Many residents of Pascagoula have heard the stories from their parents or grandparents. Some people treat the case as a spooky tale, something to tell on dark nights. Others treat it as a cautionary story about fear, privacy, and the unknown. The case also appears in lists of unusual crimes and odd historical events. In simple terms, the Phantom Barber case reminds us that not all mysteries are solved. Sometimes, Strange events happen that do not fit neatly into our understanding of the world. When people do things that are unexpected or hard to explain, communities try to make sense of it in whatever way they can. The people of Pascagoula were frightened because they felt like their homes places that should be safe were being quietly invaded. Even if no one was seriously harmed in most of the incidents, the idea of an unseen person slipping in at night was deeply unsettling. In the end, the Phantom Barber left behind no clear motive, no confession, and no proven identity. All that remains are the stories, the newspaper clippings, and the fear he once inspired. The case is a reminder of how powerful a mystery can be, and how human imagination fills in the gaps when facts are missing.